Hey everyone, welcome. Have you ever wondered what really goes into building a secure login system? I mean, really. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and build one from the ground up using PHP and MySQL. So let's roll up our sleeves and see exactly how all these pieces fit together.
I mean, think about it for a second. You do it every single day. You type in a password, you hit login, and you trust that the website knows it's you. But what's actually happening behind the scenes in that split second? That simple question. Well, that's the key to everything we're about to build. So, here's our roadmap for this build. We're going to start with the front door. That's the simple HTML form the user sees. Then we'll construct the vault, our secure database. After that, we'll hire the bouncer, the PHP code that checks everyone's credentials. Once they're in, we'll issue a VIP pass, using sessions, so the site remembers them. And we'll wrap it all up with the security checklist you just can't skip.
All right, first things first. We have to start with the most obvious part of the whole system, the login form itself. This is our front door. It's the one and only official entry point for every single user.
You know, it all kicks off with this incredibly simple HTML form. Just two little boxes, one for the username, one for the password, and a submit button. But don't let its simplicity fool you. The moment a user clicks that login button, it fires the starting pistol for this whole security process, bundling up that precious data and sending it off to our server.
Okay, so that user's data is now flying through the internet. Where does it land? Well, this brings us to what is maybe the most critical part of the entire setup, where we store this stuff. We can't just leave credentials sitting out in the open. We need a digital fortress, a secure vault. And for us, that's going to be a MySQL database.
And inside our vault, we've got a really simple table called users. The ID is just a unique number for each person, and username is, well, it's the username. But hang on, look at that password field. A varchar 255, why on earth would a password need to be that long? Well, it's because we are never, ever going to store the actual password here.
And that leads us to the single most important question in login security, period. If we're not storing the actual password, what in the world are we storing in that database? The answer to this is the secret to modern security.
And this right here says it all. On the left, you see plain text. This is a ticking time bomb. If a hacker ever gets a peek at your database, it is game over. All of your users are exposed. But on the right, that's our solution. That's a secure hash. It's just a long, jumbled up string of characters that represents the password without ever actually being the password. This whole process is called hashing, and you got to think of it like a one-way street. With a simple function in PHP, you can turn a password like secret into that big secure hash. But, and this is the absolute key, you can't go backwards. You can never ever turn that hash back into the word secret. And that is the core principle that keeps modern passwords safe.
So we've built our front door, and we've got our super secure vault. Now we need the bouncer. This is the PHP script that stands guard right between the two, and it's the one that decides who gets in and who gets kicked out. This is where the real logic happens.
And our bouncer is very, very methodical. It follows a strict 5-step checklist every single time. First, it connects to the database vault. Then, it securely grabs the username and password that were just typed in. It looks up that username in the database, then it does the crucial step of verifying the password against the stored hash. And finally, it makes the call access granted or access denied. Now let's zoom in on a really important detail right here in the code. See that little question mark? That tiny thing is basically a security superhero. It's a placeholder in what's called a prepared statement. And instead of just jamming user input straight into our database query, we keep it separate. This super simple technique is our main line of defense against a really common and dangerous attack. And that attack is called SQL injection. It's where a hacker tries to sneak their own database commands into the username or password field, trying to trick your server into, say, dumping all its data. But because we use prepared statements, we're basically telling the database, hey, whatever the user typed in this box, just treat it as plain text. It's not a command. And just like that, the threat is completely neutralized. And right here, this is the magic of hashing in action. This is how our bouncer checks the user's password. It uses this amazing password_verify function. It takes the password the user just typed in, hashes it on the spot, and then simply compares that brand new hash to the one we already have stored in our database. If they're a perfect match, the password is correct. We never have to see or decrypt the original password. It's brilliant.
Okay, success. The bouncer let them in. But authentication is just a single moment in time. How does the website remember who they are when they click from the homepage to their profile? We don't want them to log in on every single page, right? For that, our server issues a temporary VIP pass. In the web world, we call this a session.
So, the very instant that password verify says yes, we run this line of code. We create a special variable on the server, a session variable, and we just tuck the user's name away in it. This is the exact moment the server hands the user their digital VIP pass.
Now, on any other protected page, like a user dashboard or a welcome screen, the very first thing that page does is act like a security guard. It checks, hey, does this visitor have a valid VIP pass, or in this case, a session username? If the answer is no, it immediately redirects them right back to the login page. No pass, no entry. Simple as that.
So what happens when the user clicks that logout button? It's exactly what you'd think. We just call session_destroy. This is like telling the server to find that user's VIP pass and just tear it up into a million pieces. The next time they try to visit a protected page, the check will fail and they're sent right back to square one. The login form.
So there we have it. We've built all the individual pieces: the form, the database, the bouncer logic, and the session management. Now let's just boil this all down to the absolute must-do rules for keeping your login system secure.
Okay, so this is it. These are the non-negotiables. You always use prepared statements to prevent SQL injection. You always hash passwords with a modern function like password_hash. You never, ever store passwords in plain text. You verify them with password_verify. You use PHP sessions to manage who's logged in, and you check for that valid session on every single protected page. This is your foundation for building a system you can actually trust. We've just walked through the entire anatomy of a secure login, all the way from the front door to the VIP lounge. You now have the fundamental concepts, the keys to the kingdom of authentication. So, the only real question left is, what will you build with them?